Hi, my name is Kara, and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about Blood Over Brighthaven. It's a book that I read a while ago. I tried to make a video about it a while ago and didn't end up doing it, so I'm doing it now. Blood Over Brighthaven. It's been one of my favorite books reads so far this year. To be honest, I have only read like 10 books so far this year, which I'm slacking. But at the end of the day, however many books I read, it doesn't matter, okay? You have goals, but if you don't reach them, is it the end of the world? No. Did you enjoy the books that you read? That's more important. Anyway, yes, I did enjoy the books that I read, including Blood Over Brighthaven. So, just kind of trigger warnings. I don't know. Blood Over Brighthaven touches on themes of like religion, sexism, racism, and corruption of power. It's fantastic. So let's just like get right into it. As Philip DeFranco says, let's jump right in. So the setting is in a city called Tiran, which provides protection to its inhabitants from the cold and other dangers outside the city. It functions on magic. The train, powered by magic. The kettles used to heat water for their tea and coffee, magic. Lights, can I get a loud shout out from the back? Magic! Alright, anyway. So, within Tiran, there's two main characters of the story. There's Sayana, the first woman high mage of the city of Tiran, and Domil? A Quen from outside the city who works as a janitor in university where Sayana now works as high mage. So Quen are, from my understanding and my memories, I don't think I ever... Oh, look at me and my notes that I wrote months ago. It explains exactly what it is. All right. So Sayana, the first ever woman to be ever promoted to high mage. As a high mage, she is responsible for handling the problems of her city, Tiran, and these problems that the Tiran comes across, right? So in this case, she's alongside with her other male high mages and are tasked with expanding the border and protections of the city because the population has increased and things are getting a little tight in the city of Tiran. And of course, being the first woman high mage, all eyes are on her. She needs to not only deal with the pressure, but with the other male high mages discrediting her hard work to get where she is. I love how I all capitalized her male. So I should have read this, my notes as, and of course, being the first woman high mage, all eyes are on her, and she needs to not only deal with the pressure, but with the other male high mages. Sorry, I have to do past Kara justice by pronouncing it that way. All the other male high mages discrediting her hard work to get where she is, right? Any woman knows, oh, she slept her way to get to the power, someone and high on up there must be romantically involved or have a crush on this girl. Oh, it's just a DEI hire, right? But she worked hard. This is her dream. She worked really hard for this. So you go, Sayana. Uh, some accuse her of being promoted as a political move. Others claim she slipped her way to the top. I.e., doing the vertical tango with her old ass mentor and one of the arch high mages or whatever they are called. Spoiler alert: old white men. Guys, Fast Kara is fantastic. I love my little notes. Sayana has basically cares about one thing, and that is being the best mage regardless of her sex. So she's like, I don't only want to be the first woman high mage, I want to be, focus. Not only do I want to be the first woman high mage, I want to be the best high mage, right? That's her. She's like one track mind. She doesn't really care about anything else. Doesn't know the names of her neighbors. Doesn't hold much value in much outside of magical research. Like, she is very much just like, I don't want to get to know the people around me. Friends, she has no friends. Her closest friend is her cousin that she lives with, because she lives with her aunt and cousin, I believe. That's just off of the top of my memory. That's not part of my notes, so if I'm wrong, correct me. All right. Now we talk about, that's Sayana. Now we're going to talk about Tomil. Tomil is a Quen. There are a lot of Quen in Tiran because Quen are forced to seek shelter from the Blight. So Quen are like immigrants. You know, they're not from the city. They come to the city seeking refuge. The blight, and refuge from the blight. Now, the blight is some kind of natural predator outside of the city that shows itself in the form of light when it comes down from the sky and strikes something, whether it is a plant, animal, or God forbid a person. It essentially unravels the thing, right? So it's like starts from it's where it hits and then just it's very graphic. So, um, and basically it flays a person alive, leaving lots of blood and bones, and it is gross. Where is I? So Miniquin make the dangerous trip to Tiran, which has protection against blight, but this trip often results in a lot of deaths. In Tomel's case, his tribe made the crossing, and I believe it was like 20 people, maybe more, but the only one to make it to Tiran alive were him and his niece, Kara. It has two R's. It's spelled Carra, and I prefer to call her Kara because my name is Kara. But I'm sure it's like Kara or like Kara. I don't know. I'm choosing Kara deliberately. Okay. And then maybe so they make the crossing. They survive the horrible ordeal. Kara was only like 3. She was little. She saw her dad and her mom get like totally unraveled by the blight. Thomil's friends, family, all he's loved is gone now, and so they are like, oh my god, we made it. And then immediately they get put back to work because they're Quen. If Quen cannot work, they have no value to Tiran, and they are thrown out of the city to face the blight. So it's work or die, essentially. Anyway, so those are your two main characters. You got Sayana, the High Mage, and Quen, the immigrant refugee who has no option but to make himself useful, or otherwise he holds no value as a person in this world. You see some parallels here between the world and this world, our world and their world. Alright, so Sayana shows up for her first day on the job, and instead of being assigned a research assistant like all the other high mages are given, she got nothing. So as a joke, the head high mage, who is an asshole, I don't know if I need to state that, jokingly says the janitor can be her assistant. The janitor in question is Tomel. What? And then because Quen are seen as less than Tyrannese, they're savage and dumb. So he's all like, here, you can have this. You know, as a jerk face. So here are some quotes from our heroine's point of view about Quen in the early parts of the book, right? So she goes, she laughed at the idea of a Quen touching work as complicated as a barrier expanding spell web. Naturally, a Quen man wouldn't understand the understandings of Tyranish academia. And then, without looking at his coloring or registering his accent, one might have mistaken him for an exceptionally skilled and patient school teacher. So, like, I added that quote in because, why couldn't he be an exceptionally skilled and patient school worker without his coloring or his accent, right? Like, she's really looking at him and going, wow, if you weren't Quen, I could mistake you for somebody who, you know, was smart. But you're Quen, so anyway. So that's just some examples of like how Quen are looked at. And that's from our main character, who has already like dealt with a bunch of her own prejudice, like her own fighting as a woman, but she still holds her own prejudices as well. So it's, you know, she's complicated. So short story, even shorter. I don't know why I said that in my quotes, but I'm gonna trust Kara, old Kara. Alright, so short story, even shorter. Tomil, the Quen janitor, is now her research assistant. Okay, cool. While the other high mages have assistants who know about magic and how to do shit, Sayana has a janitor, so she has to spend time teaching him the basics. So instead of doing her research, she's also spending time training Tomil about how to help her. Tomel ends up being very smart and picks up things quickly. In the process of researching ways to expand the Tyran border, she discovers the true source of Tyranish magic. And that is the lives of the Quen outside of the border. Alright. So, let me get into this. So, in the process of researching ways to increase the Tyran border and its protections, Sayana and Tomel discover the source of the source. So going back to the Blight, remember the Blight? The Blight that like unravels things for power? That is the source of Tyranish magic. They are literally taking the power for the magic from the living things outside of the city. Plants, animals, humans. Quen are outside the borders of Tyran, dying because their first food sources has been disappearing due to the Blight, as well as fearing for their lives because one day they may be out hunting with the brother, and then suddenly they see a ray of light touch their brother, and then they have to watch their brother quickly unravel into blood and bone. All of that so that someone can turn on their car in Tyran. And you want to know why that Tyran is safe from the Blight? It's because they have like a forbidden area where they can't go from, and no one ever questions it. They're going like, "Oh, it's forbidden. It's the forbidden zone. We can't pull magic from there." That forbidden zone is Tyran. I probably should have started this video with like spoiler alert. I don't know, guys. So Sayana, upon discovering the true source of the magic that she has been using her whole life and made her life's work, understandably goes like crazy. Like she's going through existential crisis. Like, what have I done? Is this what I want to do anymore? Like, this is like crazy. Like her whole personality up until this point was magic, and now she's realizing that magic is taking power from like taking the lives of people, and it's awful. And oh my gosh, she experiences nightmares, guilt, and at one point she attempts to kill herself. It must be scary to realize that your entire belief system is not what you thought it was. I imagine it like free falling. What you thought was a solid foundation is, in fact, mist. Ooh, Kara, did you write this? In her desire to be the best mage, how many deaths is she directly responsible for? Crazy, right? Listen, past Kara writing this script is like, you know, uh, what you thought was solid foundation is in fact mist. All right, I'm not saying that's the greatest thing, but like, I need to give myself some more credit, is all I'm saying. All right, so here's another quote from the book. In refusing to be a stepping stone, she made herself a boot, right? So I'm not going to be stepped on. I'm not going to be made less than. I'm not going to be a stepping stone. And she ended up, being the weapon itself, and so that's crazy, right? I enjoyed that one, so I'm deciding to share that quote. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. All right, so a couple things to note. I did want to discuss the overarching themes of the book, which I mentioned at the beginning of the report. I'm referring to this as a book report in my head, so might as well refer to it as a book report out loud. Sexism, obviously. Sayana was the first female high mage, for which she got a lot of feedback. And then there is racism, as the Quen are seen as different and less deserving of life. Tyran, who we could compare to white people, took everything from Quen, making them desperate. And because the Quen were desperate, they were looked down on by the Tyran for suffering and surviving the horrors that Tyran bestowed. Right? Like, seems like, a little unfair for the Tyran. A little unfair is really understating it, but yeah. So, on them, oh gosh, All right. So the sentence here that I meant to say is, the Quen are seen as different and less deserving of life. Tierin took everything from the Quen, making them desperate. And because the Quen were desperate, were then looked down on by the Tierin for suffering and surviving the horrors that Tirion bestowed on them. So they're like, we're going to mess with your life, and because we're messing with your life, now you're desperate, and ugh, gross. Why are you so desperate? All right. Where was I? They're seen as savages and cannibals, which they weren't. They were just missing skin from, I don't know, the blight. So, like, there's sometimes where people don't die all the ways. Like, they might lose an arm or something because they got hit by the blight, but they survived. Anyway, so because they're missing body parts from the blight, they're like, oh, they must be cannibals. Ugh. Anyway, because and Tierin just kept on taking from them. And then there is the theme of religion. Tierin is a mix of scientific and religious. The god in this case is one of the first mages of Tierin who set up the rules and the doctrine for Tierin. Take a shot for every time I say Tierin, my god. And then the rest of the mages follow the doctrine and his teachings without question. If you question or you go off the beaten path, you are then accused of using dark magic and punished. And Tierin feel that God blessed them and gave them the ability to use magic, and if that magic hurts the Quen, that's proof that the Quen, who don't believe in the same God, deserve it and are not blessed. You know, religious bullshit. Sorry, guys. This is, if you're not familiar with like who I am as a person, which I don't think you would be with the videos that I've posted so far on here, this video you're going to learn a little about me. Anyway. Religious bullshit. Alright. So, I won't go into what Tiana does after the major discovery. I'll let you read the book from there. But here are the reasons I personally could not give this book a 5 stars, and the reasons are dumb. But, hey, they are my own. I'm very picky when it comes to dealing out 5-star reviews, okay? Alright, 1, the beginning was slow. Like, I almost DNR'd it. DNF'd it, not DNR. Did not finish, did not resuscitate. I almost DNF'd it. I understand the reason for setting up the book that way it was. The author, M.L. Wang, decided to set up the foundation, setting up the world building, how the magic works, the social structures within Tierin, etc. But I almost DNF'd it. And honestly, after reading it, that would have been tragic. As you see, I have a lot of thoughts on this book, and I love it, but man, the first 50% or something was a slog, in my opinion. And I understand why it was done that way, and I think I would have been so sad if, I wouldn't know how good this book was if I DNF'd it. I would just... Anyway, and 2, the ending. I did not like the ending. I don't like ambiguous endings. Again, this is a very personal reason, and I'm sure people enjoy an ending where they can sit and ruminate on what could have happened after the book ended, and I don't. The same way I don't like to watch true crime documentaries on cold cases. Not my bag, man. Not my bag. So unfortunately, Goodreads does not allow for half stars, but I might go on to Fable or Storygraph to update my book to 4.5 stars. As I wrote the script on my thoughts on this book, as I wrote the script and all my thoughts on this book down, I realized it's not my typical 4-star book. So initially I gave it 4 stars, I guess. And then I was like, actually, this is a really good book. Let me give it a 1/2 star. All right. So anyway, that's my video. I got this book from the library. So this is where I say support your local libraries. They are a great resource. They're a great resource and community hub. I have a Kindle and a library card is the ultimate combo. You can find me on Goodreads, Storygraph, and Fable as She Is Kara. If you would, if I could take the best parts of each website and make it into one, I would. But I can't. Oh, hi, Kitty. Anyway, so I will leave those links in the description. And thank you for coming to my book talk, where I talk about books. All right, I will see you guys maybe later if I decide to make another book video or a video. I don't know. Guys, I do whatever I want. All right, peace out. Bye.